Sorry guys for this interruption. Okay, we're gonna start over again. Okay, I'm gonna talk about the Weblogic and Docker. The most important actually in this slide, okay, it's Docker. So the main topic will be Docker, and I'm gonna use actually Docker to install the Weblogic using the Docker file that I already created. The agenda will be what is Docker, Docker with everything else, Docker installation using WebLogic under Docker. Okay, and there is a demo to give you more description about what I'm talking about. Who am I? I'm the leader director for Jordan. I'm an Oracle user group, Oracle Ace director, the first one in the Middle East, certified Oracle, certified ethical hacker, certified Sun and Linux, author for two Oracle books. The one called Oracle Penetration Testing, and the other one I'm working on it related to times 10 in memory database. And the presenter, contributor in Oracle community, published different articles actually in different magazines around the world, and blogger. So let's start. What is Docker? Uh, Docker is open platform for developing, shipping, and running application. Okay, so it's bought by created or by company called .cloud, the old version of the Docker called Linux container. Okay, so if any of you using Linux container, okay, will know actually exactly what is the Docker. Okay, so the Docker also it's a lightweight actually machine that provide isolation for your application. You can install it in your host. Okay, having a different container in the same host. So what is Docker? Docker usually contains two parts. Okay, one called Docker Hub and Docker Engine. The Docker Engine installed in your host, okay, and will be connected to the Docker Hub. The Docker Hub, it's a cloud service that enable you to upload everything you need on the cloud. Okay, for example, if you need to install actually WebLogic in our case, okay, you have to install something from the GitHub. Okay, so you're supposed to be connected to the internet. Once everything, it's gonna be cloned from the GitHub to your host, okay, and configure everything for you. So it's containing only two parts. The Docker engine, it's like the package you will be installed in your operating system to enable the container or the Docker on your operating system. Who is also using Docker? There's a lot of the client actually around the world using the client using Docker, as you see, ePay, PayPal, Yelp, PPC, GrubHub, Uber. All of them is using actually Docker, and there is a big list actually for the client using Docker. So why should I use it? Uh, The Docker enable you to separate your application from your infrastructure so you can deliver software quickly. Okay, you can manage your infrastructure in the same way you can manage your application. With the more advantage of this, so the Docker methodology for shipping, testing, or developing code quickly, you can reduce the delay between writing the code and testing and running on the production. Usually, this is the benefits of the Docker. Okay, the old version of the Docker, okay, it's called Linux container. So the delay, the old version having a lot of problem, the network issue, disconnection from the network. So sometimes you are working on your container, okay, and you will start facing a network issue actually with the Linux container. So with the Docker, all of this have been upgraded and solved. What is the advantage? First of all, the isolation, the security that allow you to run a many container, okay, on the same host. The lightweight, actually, you don't need extra load to run the hypervisor or the Docker engine. You can directly run it in the host machine kernel. That means you can run more container on the given hardware composition. So if you were using a virtual machine, you can even run the Docker container on host machine and in the virtual machine. Also, you can develop your application and its supporting components using container. Also, container become the unit of distributing and testing your application. So when you are ready, okay, you can deploy your application into your production environment. As easy as it is, you can pull the image from the testing environment or the Docker image from your testing and put it on production directly. Okay, this is work as same as your production environment is the local data center or the cloud provider. So as we already said here, engine and the Docker Hub. But the Docker engine itself having a different major components. We have a server, which is a type of the long running program, which is a daemon process that running on the host machine. Okay, and that enable you actually for the Docker command on your operating system. REST API specify the interface program that can be used to talk to the daemon and the infrastructure in the background. And finally, the command line that you will be using. Now we have two versions. We have Docker and we have Linux container. There's two difference between each one of them. Okay, the Docker is more stable than the Linux container. Okay, the Docker you can actually run everything from the clone on the GitHub, so it's automatically built, not like the Linux container you have to build everything manually, and you can share what you have from the image with another Docker on the host machine. So, for example, if you have two separate host machine, okay, and I install Docker on one of them, I can pull the image from the Docker file on the host machine number one and put it on machine number two. Finally, it's a tool that enable you to uh, isolate your infrastructure with a best practice. Okay, it's like virtualization but with a lightweight. This is graph will show you actually what is the difference between the Linux container and the Docker container. In the Linux container, as you see on the left, okay, we have the host here. The host having three container, for example, called VM1, VM2, VM3. Each one of them having a different operating system. Okay, as you see in each one of them, okay, we have to install all the softwares that I need. Okay, so there is no isolation in each one of them. In the Docker, on the right one, as you see here, it's a layer. So if I need to install WordPress, for example, I create another one. If I need to create MySQL to install MySQL, I create another one. PHP, I create another container. So it's a layer, which give you more security and isolation for your infrastructure. If the same example, but as you see here in the left, if I have multiple application, it's installed in one container, which is not giving you any separation or isolation for your application. In the right one, it gives you a full uh, isolation and security. This is the difference between the Docker and the Linux container. So which operating system Docker is supported? You can install Docker on different operating system. You can install it on Linux, all distribution of the Linux, on the cloud, such as Amazon, AWS, or Google Cloud, or Azure, Windows, and Mac OS. So let's compare Docker with a VMware. We all know VMware is a virtualization solution. Okay, or virtualization. We have a different virtualization solution from different company. We have KVM, hypervisor, Zen, and etc. So we need to compare actually Docker with a virtualization solution and how to make sure that everyone Docker and the virtualization is different from each other. So first of all, the size. Usually the size of the VM is huge. Okay, so gonna take like 10 gig, 15 gig. That's if the VM was small. More you install the software, it's more gonna take. The Docker, it's almost 1 gig with all the software and the OS image and everything. So after you delete the software on the Docker, it's gonna be like with small size, and you will not feel it. It's very lightweight actually container. You will not feel it. I'm gonna give you a demo actually about how you see the Docker, and you it's totally running on my OS, and you will not feel it at all. First, second, compare its CPU and RAM. In the in the virtualization like VMware hypervisor Zen, okay, you can control the CPU and the RAM. For example, if I need to increase the CPU, I can increase it. If I need to increase the RAM, I can increase it. Depend on your host. Okay, so if I have 46 gig of RAM, I can increase it till 64 bit of RAM. In the Docker, it's isolation, but also a lightweight. Okay, need a less resource, and you cannot control it. Okay, you can control it only using a Docker file. The Docker file is built by you coding, or you can install predefined Docker file, depend on what you want. Performance, the virtualization usually or the VMware hypervisor or Zen performance depend on how much resource you give to this environment. So if you have environment number one, okay, with a resource 1 gig of RAM or one core of CPU, it will not be the same as a different VM that having 6 gig of RAM, for example, or two CPU. The linked container gonna take a second to start up, seconds for running everything. Actually, you are using in the Docker. It's gonna take seconds. This is brief actually about the difference between the Docker and the VM. As you see here, the Docker on the left, it's a lightweight layer, okay, above the kernel of the OS, single service or process. You only running one service or one daemon. So how is that? You only install Docker once on your operating system, and after that you can create a container or multiple container. A new but promising technology actually, and used by big names company. A VM completely heavy, okay, that once, for example, I can install applications with the several components, okay. So if I have one VM, I can install a different application on that VM or that virtualization. It's already old and trusted technology. This graph actually gonna show you what I mean actually by virtualization, Linux container, and Docker. Each one of them, how it works, the architect for each one of them. On the left, we have two type actually for the virtualization. I have virtualization type 1, type 2. In the type 1, I install the virtualization solution immediately on my hardware. So I have the hardware, no need to install the operating systems. Okay, I only install for example, the controller of the virtualization. Okay, in case of the VMware, I install something called ACX, which is enable me actually to have the whole host and start creating different VM on that host. Okay, in type 2, no, I have the operating system. For example, in my case, I have a laptop. Okay, I install the operating system, which is Linux or Windows. I install the virtualization solution on it and start working. For example, you can use VMware workstation. For this solution, you can use a different virtualization solution from Microsoft or Zen. This is for the virtualization. For the Linux container, we have the hardware. I install the operating system. I share the binary, okay, and install the container. Okay, on the first one, I install the container, the Linux container on the first machine. Okay, and start create container. But the difference with the Docker that each one of the container I have to install the container separately. So I have to install container number one. I reinstall the container number two. So I don't have a daemon here or the process to control of the container. I have to install the container each time I need to uh, run a new container. In the Docker, okay, no. I installed the operating system, for example, I installed the Docker, which having the volumes and the library for the Docker, and I start creating different actually container as you see from the graph. This is the beauty actually of the Docker. You only have to install the daemon or the process for the Docker, and the Docker can give you the ability to control all the container you have under one process. Okay, so you don't have to install the container each time you want to create a new container. No, you already installed the engine of the Docker. Okay, and the Docker engine can control everything you need for the container. So why should I use Docker? Docker streamlined for the development lifecycle by allowing developers actually to work in standard environment using a local container which provide your application, okay, and service container are great for continuous integration and development. So consider you having, for example, the following scenario. Your developer write code locally, okay, and using a Docker container, they use a Docker to push their application into the test environment and execute it manually. When the developers actually find the bugs, they can fix the bug, okay, on the development and redeploy them again to the test environment and in validation. When the testing environment is completed, they can fix the customer as simple as it is and push it again to the production environment. So you don't have actually to redeploy, deploy, redeploy, redeploy. All you have to do is push the Docker into the environment, the new environment to your application. Also, I can scale the Docker. The Docker container based on the platform allow you to portable workload. Docker container can run on developer's local laptop, on physical or virtual machine in data center or the cloud. So it's mixture environment. Docker also it's a lightweight nature. Also make it easy to dynamically manage workloads. So scaling up the Docker is gonna be easy. Okay, down the application and the service business need dedicated in the real time. Running more workload, for example, on the same hardware, another advantage. Since we already said actually Docker is a lightweight and fast, it provides a viable, cost-effective, and alternative to the hypervisor-based virtual machine. So you can use more of your computer capability to achieve your business goal. So your host will not be only for one application. For example, most of the company now using one server actually for one application. So with the Docker, no, you have one server, I can use it actually for a different application, for different database or different uh, product that I want. So it's Docker is perfect for the high density environment and for small or medium deployments. As you see, the installation for the Docker, I already said we have two parts of the Docker, Docker engine and Docker Hub. The Docker engine should be installed on your host or to control the process of the Docker. Okay, so all I have to do actually, let's assume that I'm gonna install Docker on the Linux in my case. Okay, log in to the Docker as a root. All I have to do actually adding this file as you see under repository, call it docker for repo. Okay, add these lines. These lines actually will allow me to connect actually with the FTP server that will allow me to download the Docker file from the above URL. Sorry. Assume I have everything here. All I have to do is yum install Docker, and the engine of the Docker will be installed. I need to make sure that the Docker after that is started. So I'm gonna use service docker start, and as you see I can verify that the docker is installed by running the below command docker run hello world. Once I run this command, it's gonna print for me a hello world but on the container, not on the operating system itself. For example, imagine I want to install the docker. Okay, and I need someone else actually to control the docker process for me. I cannot give him actually the root passwords. So I can use this way actually. For example, if I have two user number X and Y, and the root user need from user X to control the Docker process. Okay, for example, startup, shutdown, stuff like that. All I have to do is adding user okay to the group called Docker. Okay, after that way I'm gonna control let user X to control to pull, push, handle, to start up, shut down the Docker service. Also, if you restart actually the Docker machine or the or the host itself, okay, the Docker will not start automatically. So what I have to do here, only running this command check config Docker on, it will be enable Docker immediately actually after startup. To remove it, okay, all I have to do is yum minus y remove docker, okay, and remove the docker library from the path itself, which is located under var lib. Some of the comments that you need with the docker help gonna give you the most important comment that you use with the docker. Docker daemon, this is to check the daemon of the docker. Docker build, that will give you the images from the Docker file. Docker file, I'm gonna talk about it. This is the most important actually part of the Docker. And attach, this will allow you to interaction with the environment. So if I'm using, if I have actually another container and I need to attach it to my Docker, I have to use this command. This is only the example actually. The attach is very advanced command, and you need to read more about it. Okay, but I'm gonna give you a brief actually about some basic commands and advanced commands. Docker file, the Docker file actually, it's when you install, for example, Weblogic on the container. Okay, you don't control the path, you don't control the resource, you don't control anything. It's only all you have to do is upload the media and start running the Docker, and the Docker will do everything for you. So how the Docker will know actually you where to install everything? It's based on the Docker file. The Docker file is like shell scripting. Okay, you have to write everything by your own self. Okay, after that, the Docker will start actually to build the image for you, depend on the Docker file that you already wrote. Okay, so in that case, you have to be actually very careful when you write the Docker file. And you need actually, it's very interesting actually to know more about the Docker file. As you see, I got here an example for the Docker file. This is my Docker file actually for some of the testing environment. As you see here, this is the Docker file. It's like scripting, actually writing some scripts. You can can know more about it from the documentation how to write Docker file. You can install predefined Docker file. You can find it on the Docker GitHub. Install, for example, Docker predefined Docker file for the database, for the Weblogic, for the MySQL, for Glass, Fish, or something like that. I have here some of the Docker command file as well. These some of the comments I use it with the Docker file: add cmd, encrypt point, environment, expose from. Each one of them is used for a different way. For add, I use it to add something from a current environment to another environment. CMD to run something on the local machine but on the CMD. User to switch the user, run to run the command of the Docker, and stuff like that. You need to know more about it. Actually, the documentation describe everything. This is only the brief actually of the Docker file. Docker file is very important. It's very big. It's not easy. Here, I'm gonna give you a brief how to install uh, I'm already installed the Docker actually, but I'm gonna show you actually the file. As you see here, I have this file. Inside this file, I put these lines. Okay, this is will enable me to connect with the server outside. Okay, and install the Docker engine. To install the Docker, actually after that, after adding this file, all I have to do is install Docker and press enter. It's already installed. Actually, as you see here, it's already installed. After that, I'm gonna check the service of the Docker. It's running. New case, you can stop it. For example, here I'm stopping the service, the Docker. It's gonna take some time to stop because I have the different images of the Docker actually in this machine, so it will take some time. And for the third, as you see, I have a different images here. It's supposed to be shut down, each one of them. It's gonna take a while. So the next step actually I can use it, which is check config. This is will enable me to start Docker each time I restart this machine. Okay, as a root. Now the Docker will start up each time I'm gonna restart the machine. Start turning on. Oh, let's wait. It's gonna take time, so I'm gonna interrupt it. I need to shut down again and start up because it will take some time. So after you install actually the Docker, you will generate a file like this. Okay, as you see here. Yeah, about this later. And now you can actually on that and I will answer it. I'm gonna check the question. No question till now. Okay, let's continue. So let's start first. I'm gonna give you a brief about Weblogic. Actually is a Java application server deployed by Oracle Corporation. Oracle Corporation by PA Systems in 2008 and developed more about the WebLogic. WebLogic actually having a different version. We have 11G, 12C, Release 1 and Release 2. Also, it's supported from huge middleware family from Oracle. It can be connected for Oracle database, DB2, Microsoft SQL, MySQL, and a different kind of database. This is Arctic for the WebLogic, for example. We have OHS in the upper level. In the middle, we have two kind of servers. We have two servers configured as a cluster, installed with a WebLogic connected to the RAG database, Oracle. Okay, this is the article for the WebLogic actually, for small WebLogic. So why I should use a WebLogic with Docker? Why should, for example, to install the WebLogic on the host and that's it. Very easy way to install it. You're gonna see how much it's gonna take time actually to install WebLogic with Docker. Create a new WebLogic environment with Docker. It will not actually take a lot of time to configure the operating system and stuff like that. All you have to do actually is configure the Docker, run the command, and the Docker will enable you and give you access to everything. Okay. It can be done as you see with the Docker in two steps. Download the Docker image and start up the container for the WebLogic, and that's it. You need to take care of the Java version with the WebLogic, which one is certified for you. As you see here, I have a different version of the WebLogic. I have a different version of the Java, the operating system. That I have the kernel of the operating system and the Docker version. Okay, each one of them having a different kind of Java. You need to be careful actually which kind of Java you are using here. What the most important challenging there you have once you installed actually the Docker. You have a different challenge once you install the Docker. You have first of all the networking. Okay, the networking is very challenging in any actually container because if you cannot configure your Docker file correctly, you're gonna have a very huge networking issue. Image and the container, the images itself, to maintain the image, doing the image for the beginners actually it will not be easy. It's very advanced topic to control and do the image, but once you learn how to do it, it's gonna be very 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 amazing, and you're gonna internet yourself. So how to use Docker with WebLogic? As you see, after I installed the Docker engine, new files are created for me. Okay, it's called Docker, my path actually Docker WebLogic. After that, okay, I have to run sh build image. This will gonna give me a copy of the WebLogic, and I'm gonna check the Docker images and everything. I'm gonna use it for the Docker. As you see here, I can build what I want and run what I want in my files. I can build and running what I want. I'm gonna give you a demo about this. If you have any question, again, you can type it actually in the chat section. It's Linux. Okay, I'm using Red Hat. Okay, version 6. I'm using Oracle actually, Linux version 6. You can install it also on any operating system you want. I chose Linux because it's I'm more familiar actually with Linux. Right. Let me go the VMs. So see here different folders under the Docker. I need to install here now. We have a different products: Glassfish, NoSQL, OpenGDK, Oracle GDK, Oracle Coherence, Oracle WebLogic, MySQL. And now actually the Docker supported Oracle database, so you can install actually Oracle Policy 11G on the Docker. No need for it. I need to install Weblogic. Go to this folder. Also, I have a different file here. If I go to the README file, gonna give you a brief about everything, how to build Docker. See here the comments that you're gonna use, the admin, one of the music, image, the check, the images you have. You need to know actually check it always before you install or do anything. I have also Docker files. Inside the Docker files, I have three folders or two folders on one SH scripts. I have a folder for WebLogic 12C release 1, WebLogic 12C release 2, and this file. This is the Docker file as you see it. This is how to install the WebLogic with Docker and everything. Docker, you can find one. Yes, I'm using breed find one. All I to install this is run the Docker file. Once you run the Docker file, actually it take a different attribute. Wait, checking actually the Java version now, check everything, checking the WebLogic and everything. As you see here as well, you can run Docker help. Will give you all the command that you can use with the Docker. Also, the AP every command actually with the Docker. Commit, copy, create, and each one of them. Like extracting the files, you can check the images. As you see here, it's adding a new image that created for each one of them. Supposed to be like 2 gig actually because the software size. Bruno is the one actually who created the Docker with Oracle or tested Docker with Oracle. Now start copying as you see here, install the Java and everything. Now start copying the install the Aura inst. If you check the Aura inst, it's gonna give you the location. Gonna give you the location for everything as you see here. The location, everything. Now start and install the Weblogic and everything. as you see, we have the initial issue actually, which is having a space issue in my case. Not be a problem. Uh, I'm gonna use now build image. I can build image using. This is actually the beauty of the Docker. You can build the image depending on the software that you have. So once I can use, for example, small sample. Let's say 12C. I'm gonna use it in the same location as you see here. It's supposed to locate the Docker file. I already delete the Docker file because I already have a different image. As you see, I created here now. Can create different. So let's take the Docker images that I have and one different. Now I run Docker. Okay, I run the image of the Docker with the call sample image. I already have it as you see here. It's here. Okay, I run it. Okay, and now I need to check the logs and take the ID that generated by this one. And oh, sorry, it's Docker. Yes, now it's running. So let's check. It's running. Wait. Suppose. Yes, it's running. I can use localhost, for example, to check the link. Which is the IP as you see here. The IP. This is the link as I see here. It's running now. Now I have, as you see, a Weblogic running on Docker. It's now enabled and everything. As you see here, it's very basic to install the Weblogic on Docker. No need to install the software, no need to install the Java. Everything is maintained by the Weblogic and the Docker file. So it's very simple, very easy everything. Uh, Very easy, very maintained actually to install everything as you see here and very basic. Okay, so if you need to install actually WebLogic in your, for example, local host, not on the Docker, okay, you have to install the software, you have to install a lot of things. Okay, you have to install the software, you need to prepare the Java, you need to prepare a lot of things, you need to prepare the environment, the prerequisite. You need to do a lot of actually of things to install only WebLogic. But with the Docker, as you see here, I did not do anything. I did not prerequisite. I did not do a copy of the image. I did not copy the softwares or anything. The Docker did everything for me and maintain everything for me actually, which is what makes Docker. It's very pretty and simple. If you have any question, okay, please type it. Do we have any question at the moment? Do we have? Seems no. Okay, we can actually say now thank you for attending and thank you to be here. If you have any question, actually, as you see, this is my contact information. You can type it. Okay, you can use it. You can go to my blog. Actually, you can go to my blog. You can just type your question there. I can help you if you want. Actually, sending you some links in the Docker documentation. It's gonna be perfect actually to run the Docker. It's new generation of the technology. It's very easy. You can also go to my blog. I submit some information about the Docker, how to do it. Okay, and thank you for attending. If you have any question, please just let me know. I can help you with anything you want. I have actually here. Where do you use Docker in your line of work? Usually, actually, in my work, most of the clients actually don't use Docker, to be honest. But I have some clients outside actually that are using Docker outside of Jordan or the Middle East. It's a new concept, as I already said. Actually, in the Middle East, most of the company or the clients go to the virtualization, VMware, KVM, and stuff like that. They don't know anything actually about Docker at the moment. Next question. Hello, hello. كله اه هذه داخل وصل داخل كله كل شهر كله بتفوت هذا الدردشه يعني عادي الهيك تبع الداتابيس عادي يعني لسه بس في اللهم تليفون بس تواجده فيه ايوه اوكي اوكي you're welcome guys, thank you actually to be here, thank you. And if you need any trade, you can actually contact me. This is the information. Thank you, Francis, actually, to this presentation. Thank you, guys.